Hey guys, welcome back to the Babbling Boots YouTube channel, where we babble about boots. In today's video, we're going to be doing a boot cleaning on a pair of Viberg service boots I have, Brown Chrome XL. And these are in need of a pretty good cleaning because I wore these on a recent trip to France. It was a 2-week trip, and I wore these most every day I was there, save a couple of days. And the weather in France was actually pretty dreary. It rained nearly every day, and these saw a lot of action. I even wore these up the Eiffel Tower, which was a lot of steps up. I'm not sure how many steps, but I'll put that right here. And in retrospect, that probably wasn't a good idea because these are very heavy boots, but it definitely gave me a workout. And as you can see, these have some pretty decent scuffs in the toe area, predominantly. There's also some dirt and grime in that area. The heels aren't too bad for the most part. Sole's got some wear, but I cleaned those off a little bit earlier. I think the main area is really just gonna be the vamp and the toe box, getting those up to snuff, I guess you could say. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna wanna take off the laces for these because it's very hard to clean shoes with the laces still on. So I'm gonna do that really quickly. We'll probably speed through this part. So these laces took me a little longer to get off than the traditional wax cotton laces you get from Viberg. If you notice, these look nearly identical to the ones that Viberg gives you. But the Viberg ones are actually a little bit shorter. So I bought these specifically, I think it was from Guarded Goods. They have an extra long pair of cotton laces. And the cool thing about these is they're long enough to where you can lace them up to pretty much like the third from last eyelet and then tie them around the shaft of your boots. The ones that Viberg gives you are a little bit shorter. I think they're just standard laces, and those you can't really wrap around the shaft of your boots. They're just traditional laces, which is why I got these and replaced them because I think it's kind of a nice touch. So now that we have the laces removed, we're gonna wanna fan out the tongues a little bit so we can get in there with a nice horsehair brush. And we're gonna wanna just put my hand in there. It's the easiest way. I think that's probably how most people do it. And you just wanna brush off all the dirt and grime pretty much around the whole boot. And this helps to not only remove the dirt that's on there and kind of the dirt that's in the pores of the leather, which you don't want in there obviously when you're cleaning and conditioning them because it can damage the leather, but it also kind of helps to redistribute the oils in them, and it actually will shine them up a little bit in the process because it's redistributing the oils and waxes from some of the scuffed areas. So this is something you could do if you really wanted to, probably every time after you wear your boots. It's not necessary, but if you really wanted to do it, you could. It's not gonna damage your boots by any means by brushing them. So here's a little comparison of this one that's been brushed. This one hasn't. The only difference really that you can see is there's a lot more dirt and dust on the surface of this, so it's not going to have that nice sheen. And I try to get even along the stitching here where the sole is, just to try to get it off any dirt that's kind of loosely stuck on there. And again, you do want to try to get up in the tongue area. For this one, this is a bellows tongue, so it is folded on there, you can see. So you do want to try to get at least the tip of your brush in there to get out any dirt that's going to be stuck in there, because dirt does have a tendency to collect in these gussets on your tongues of your boots. Okay, so those have been decently brushed. That's just kind of the surface cleaning we want to do to make sure we get off the surface level dust and grime. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some saddle soap to kind of give them more of a deep clean. So to use saddle soap, this is Otter Wax saddle soap. I'm not sponsored by them, I just own it. If you want to get it, you can get it. They sell it on Amazon. There are other brands. This is the brand I use. It smells very nice. It says Portland, Oregon on it, so I'm assuming it's made there, unless they're just, made in the USA, so we're gonna say it's made in Portland. And it smells very good. It has a citrusy, like orange smell. I believe it has beeswax and castile leather cleaner. Castile, I might be mispronouncing that, but it smells excellent. So what you want to do is you want to get your dauber. It helps if you have a small one like this, like you have your horsehair brush that's meant for brushing your whole boot, and this one's kind of a smaller one that you can dip in some hot water or warm water, and then kind of lather up your saddle soap. Don't be afraid to put some effort into it to get it lathered up. Okay, so we're going to start with the left boot here. And we're just going to gently do some circular motions on the, mostly for this one, or these two, the cap toes, because that's the area that saw the most damage. Apparently I like kicking things with my boots, so that's why they're damaged, I guess. And you do want to get up in the stitching of the soles, because that's where a lot of dirt and grime builds up. So make sure you do kind of get aggressive in the stitches. It's not going to hurt the boots or leather or anything. It's only going to help if you can get those clean. Okay. So we've gotten the boot pretty thoroughly soaped up. The next step is going to be, we're going to just want to remove a lot of the soap, and you can do that with just kind of a microfiber cloth or any other cloth you would have. And this has different leather beeswax compounds in it, so it's not going to hurt the leather to have the soap on there. You don't have to like completely wash it off is what I'm saying, and put it under water. That's not necessary. You can just wipe it off and it'll be just fine. Okay, so here is the left boot. It has been pretty thoroughly dried off, except for the sole here. All right. So the next thing we can do is, well, we can get our horsehair brush and just go back over it to help shine it up a little bit. Okay, so this one's been pretty thoroughly cleaned. You can see the difference between the two boots here. This one just looks, it's in a lot better condition, because it is. The scrapes that were on there, here's some sunlight actually, are a lot more minimal now in comparison to this one. This one did have more severe scrapes on it to begin with, but these have pretty much gone away. It has a nice kind of matte look to it. What you can do next is get some, well, there are a couple of options. If you have deeper scrapes like this one, I might use this brown cream on this one. I don't think this boot needs it. So what we'll do next is we'll use some Venetian shoe balm. So I'm running low on Venetian leather balm. You can get this on Amazon as well. I'm also not sponsored by them. And then you can just rub that in circular motions as well on the boot. And I just try to apply it, just a thin layer, and that, you know, makes it look kind of shiny as you're applying it, just to get the actual oils on there. And then you don't need to do too much, and then you'll come back over it with your horsehair brush to kind of blend it in. Okay, so then we can come back with our horsehair brush. As you can see, there's a trend here. Pretty much between every step we do, we just brush it with the horsehair brush to kind of distribute the waxes evenly from each stage, and just to make sure that we can get a nice light sheen on the leather, because brushing it definitely helps bring out that shine that you're, well, if you want it to be shiny, that you're looking for. So following our Venetian shoe cream treatment, this is the left boot now. It's been brushed, waxed, leather bombed, everything. And it's got a nice soft sheen to it. It's not like shiny, but it does look significantly more nourished than it did before. The scuffs and scrapes that were on it have kind of faded away. The leather, well, the stitching kind of in the toe box here at the tip of the toe is a lot cleaner now because we got all that dirt out of there. So the threads are a nice contrast now, whereas before they were kind of like a dirty brownish gray color, but now you can really see the contrast of the stitching a lot better, and I think it makes the boot just look a lot nicer compared to this one where the tip is still, hasn't been cleaned, so the tip still has that dirty brown gray color to it and a lot more scuffing on the toes. This is probably the best comparison of the two right now. And then now we're going to do the right boot with an additional step in there as well to make these look a bit nicer. So for the right boot, we've just finished applying the saddle soap all around it and then brushing it off with this microfiber cloth. So we haven't applied any Venetian shoe cream or anything of that nature yet. But as you can see, this boot, the toe cap is pretty much good to go. There's not any major scuffing on it. But this one, you can see there's some gashes on here, and there's just a little bit of discoloration. There's actually a decent sized gash right here on it. So one thing that you can do if you want to try to, I guess, neutralize the appearance of that and make it look fairly uniform, you can get, this is some Saphir shoe cream, and the color of this one is medium brown. And I found that medium brown is a pretty good match. Not exactly, but a pretty close match to the color of Chrome XL, brown Chrome XL. So what you want to do is get yourself a spoon, and this is just a spoon that I have basically dedicated for the purpose of like shining shoes and polishing them. You just want to get a little bit of shoe cream on the back of the spoon and then lightly go over the areas where there's discoloration. And then you can put your thumb in here and apply some pressure kind of all around the area where there's discoloration and then there's scuffing, any deep scuffing. And what this does is basically, it's going to kind of help push down the leather to make it more flat and uniform. So if there's any scuffing or, you know, parts of the leather that are kind of coming off or cracking or whatnot, this will help kind of smooth it out and, you know, diminish the appearance of any major scuffs or scrapes on it. And it also adds some color back to the leather. And we're just gonna do that nice and evenly. So that's how we did that. And then just get yourself a cloth and you can just kind of brush that away with the cloth. And then get your horsehair brush and then just brush that. It's getting fairly hot in here because the sun's starting to shine through. If it looks like I'm slightly dying, I probably am. So you can see the difference now. The cut's still here, but we did add color to it, which helped kind of neutralize the noticeability of it. You can go back through with another layer if you want, just in that area where the cut is, and really press down on it. And this is something I've done with these boots before. If you notice the back of the heels of my boots, there's some pretty serious scuffing here. I don't know if this shows up on the camera, but there were some pretty deep gouges in the leather from when I went hiking. And I just basically did that same thing here. This is from like 4 years ago when I went hiking. And I kind of, you can still see that there were gashes there, but they're in a lot better condition than they were before. They're kind of sealed up and they look just to be in better condition. So now we're gonna go back with our cloth and wipe that away. And then there are a couple of options for the next step. You can go over with Venetian shoe cream, which I guess I will do, just for the toe box mainly, but again for the whole boot like I did the other one. And then after that, which I didn't do for either boot, and it's more optional, there's this Otter Wax leather salve, and it's just a carnauba and shea butter conditioner. And this actually helps kind of waterproof your boots, not waterproof, but helps to water resist your boots for a period of time because there is wax in it. So it kind of gives a nice protective coating if you think you're going to be wearing your boots in the rain. It's totally optional. Okay, so we have applied the Venetian leather balm, shoe cream leather balm to the right boot. And we're just gonna go back and blend it in with our horsehair brush. Okay, so here are both boots after they've gone through the treatment process. This boot, as I mentioned, I just brushed it with the horsehair brush first to get the top layer of dirt and debris off. Then I got my saddle soap here, lathered it up in some warm water, and just brushed the entirety of this boot. I did that for this boot as well. And then just got my microfiber cloth and then wiped off the saddle soap from the boots. And that's what helped bring a lot of color back to the laces. So you can see the white really contrasting with the boot, and also just removing a lot of built-in dirt and grime from the boots themselves. And then after that, because the left boot, as I mentioned, didn't have any serious scrapes on it, I just went ahead and applied the Venetian shoe cream to it. For the right boot, there was a more significant gouge on it. So I did use some Saphir shoe cream, a medium brown, and I put that on the back of my spoon, and I just brushed it in to kind of help minimize this cut in the leather here. And it came out pretty well. You can still see the cut. You're not going to be able to really get rid of it, obviously, because it's a cut in the leather, but you can minimize it a bit, and over time it'll blend in even more. And so that's kind of how I brought this one back. And then I did put a little Venetian leather balm over the top of it as well. So that's how you can just do the uppers for your leather boots if you want to revive those. So if you want to go a step further with these, you can. You can see where the soles, the sides of them, and the heel block itself, it doesn't really get a lot of treatment. It got some treatment from just the saddle soap being brushed on it. But if we want to go back and also nourish the heels, we can do that. And that's also fairly simple. You can either just put some Venetian shoe cream on it, or if you want to bring some color back to them, you can see how the leather's kind of fading a bit and turning a little bit gray. You can get some Saphir leather cream and just kind of rub it into the sides of the soles, and it'll help bring some color back to them. And just do circular motions of the shoe cream around basically the soles of both boots. Okay, so we have applied the Saphir brown shoe cream around the sides of the sole here and the heel, and then we're going to go back over it with our horsehair brush just to help smooth in the brown pigment. Okay, so that is basically my version of edge dressing for leather soles. Bring some color back to them. And what I would recommend next, actually, you probably don't need to apply Venetian leather balm to the soles, but since these do see a bit of action on the ground, literally their boots, you might want to apply some leather salve to the soles just to help them with their water repellent properties. So this is also Otter Wax leather salve. And we're just going to get a little bit of this on the other end, the clean end of our microfiber cloth. And we're going to just apply that to the edge of our soles. And do that all around just like you did with the leather pigment on it. We'll do that for both boots. And then one helpful tip is get a little more of this leather balm. And you can see, the heel stack here on the underside of the sole, there is some leather that's exposed. And this leather doesn't really get cleaned a lot, especially if you're just brushing the uppers of your boots. So you might want to go in, I think it's a good idea to just put some shoe balm or leather balm, up on this part of the heel block to help keep it nourished so it doesn't, dry out and then become more susceptible to deterioration over time. Just put a little bit of wax on that part to keep it nourished. Do that for both boots. All right, guys, and there we have it. These are the restored, I guess, Viberg service boots after the full conditioning. And you can see there's definitely a little bit more color and shine brought back to the soles as well. The leather just looks a lot more nourished now. It just looks a lot healthier. And then one thing I haven't ever done, but you could do, is you can get some leather kilties. And these are all kilties that Dale from Dale's Leatherworks sent me out of the kindness of his heart. He sent, I believe these are some Seostead Rambler kilties. These are more of a brown color. You could put these in your boots. They're just false tongues, you know, to cover up. Because these tongues have seen some wear. And I'm not saying they're going to wear through, but if they were to wear through, you know, there's a few areas where you could see it being a possibility. And if I just wanted to extend the life of these tongues, I could certainly put it, you know, these kilties over it. That's just been kind of my rundown of how I personally restore my boots. I'm sure most people have their own way of doing it. Some people might not like my way. That's fine. This has worked for me. I've had these boots for over 4 years now, and I put them through the ringer as far as hiking, international travels. They've been pretty much everywhere with me, and they're holding up wonderfully because of the way I've taken care of them, I think, has helped that. Again, thank you guys for watching. I know that we have been kind of MIA over the past few months, and we've been, you know, really busy doing all sorts of different things, but we will hopefully start publishing videos more regularly again. We have some boot reviews coming up, and I think I might be buying a couple of new pairs of boots to review. So if you guys are interested, you know, just stay tuned. Be sure to like and subscribe. And again, thanks guys for watching.